Welcome back to another FPL video. Quick turnaround between game weeks, so it's time to start the preparation for game week 22. In this video, I'll quickly take a look at my team selection for the next game week. I'll give an update on the blanks and doubles. There's a double in game week 24, so the watch list will actually be a double game week special. And I also, as always, take a look at the captain selection for the next game week. So let's have a look. This will be my team for game week 22. Sanchez, he will start in goal. I have Fabianski, but I don't want to play him against SA. So Sanchez, really frustrating seeing him concede 2 goals against Bournemouth in game week 21. But as mentioned, I don't want to play Fabianski against SA. In defense, I will probably start Masraoui. I might actually change to Anderson, not decided yet, but Gabriel and Lewis Hall, they are nailed on to start the next game week. In midfield, Anthony Gordon, Salah, Palmer and Esse, they will all start, and up front, Alexander Isak, João Pedro and Kai Havertz. This means that Kirkis will be benched. Really good game week in game week 19 and 20, but in game week 21 he conceded 2 goals against Chelsea. He looked good in that game, so he is in form, but I don't want to play Kirkis against both Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak, so he will be benched in game week 22. My plan going forward will be to get more double game week players. There is a double game week in game week 24. Liverpool and Everton will have 2 fixtures. I will talk more about this really soon. Everton's game against Liverpool in game week 15 got postponed due to bad weather. This game has been rescheduled and will be played in game week 24. This means that Liverpool and Mo Salah, they will have a double game week against Bournemouth and Everton. If you haven't used your triple captainship yet, it might be a good idea to consider playing it in double game week 24. But we should have more Liverpool players in our teams than just Mo Salah. I will talk more about this when discussing this week's watch list. First of all, a quick update on the remaining doubles and blanks for the rest of the season. We will have a blank game week in game week 29. It will be the teams that reach the final of the EFL Cup, and it looks likely to be Newcastle. They are already 2-0 up against Arsenal, and Liverpool, they are actually down 1-0 to Everton, but they are the bookies' favorites to reach the final. If the bookies get this right, Newcastle will have a blank, and their opponent in game week 29 will of course blank as well, and this is Crystal Palace. If Liverpool reach the final as well, their fixture against Aston Villa will get postponed as well. Those postponed fixtures will be rescheduled and played in double game week 33. So these are the blanks and doubles that will be caused by the EFL Cup. When it comes to the FA Cup, the semi-finals will be played in blank game week 34. There will actually be 4 games and 8 teams involved in the blank, and those teams will have their game rescheduled for game week 36. We're not yet sure which teams will blank and double in game week 34 and 36, because we need to look at the results from the FA Cup 5th round and the quarterfinals first. But these are the game weeks that will have blanks and doubles. It's nice to keep this in mind when planning our transfers going forward. But for now, let's focus on double game week 24. If you want more information about this, please go watch this video where I take a look at all the blanks and the doubles in detail, and I also include a chip strategy. So as mentioned, Liverpool, they have a double game week in game week 24, and in addition they have a really good fixture in game week 23. So I think it's time to consider a triple up on Liverpool assets. Most of us probably have Mo Salah in our teams already. He is owned by 71% of the managers. I actually think that Trent is a decent option. He looks likely to stay at Liverpool. He's selected by 27% of the managers. He is kind of expensive. He comes in at 7.2, so if you don't have any other expensive defenders in your team, it might be hard to get Trent in, but I actually think that Konate at 5.1 is a decent option if you want to cover the Liverpool defense. So those are my favorite Liverpool assets at the moment. Van Dijk, he comes in at 6.4, so if you want a Liverpool defender, I would rather go cheap with Konate or make the upgrade to Trent Arnold. But there are a lot of other interesting Liverpool assets as well. I'm not sure that I want to double up on their defense, but the problem with the other attacking options is that they are minutes risks. So as mentioned, a lot of potentially really solid options. Gakpo, he is a forward, he comes in at 7.3, 8.5 selected, so kind of a differential. Good stats, he has an expected goal involvement of 1.78. Luis Diaz, been a really popular asset so far this season, owned by over 20% of the managers. Decent stats for him as well, expected goal of 1.94. Diogo Jota, he has been injured, he started the season really well, maybe Liverpool's best finisher. He is a midfielder together with Luis Diaz, really big differential, only owned by 3.5% of the managers and have 0.95 expected goals. So I think that it's probably worth a punt bringing in one of those players. The problem, as mentioned, is that they might start the first game in game week 24, and if they blank, they might start the next game on the bench and come on for a 1-pointer. This will be really frustrating, of course, but I think that it's probably worth the risk due to the good fixture against Ipswich in game week 23 and the double in double game week 24. My advice would be to hold your last Liverpool spot open. Don't bring them in for game week 22. Wait at least until game week 23 and the Ipswich match. We might actually see some injuries that will make other players more nailed and secure a minute, so wait as long as possible, maybe even right before double game week 24, especially if you don't need to make a transfer in game week 23. So I got a couple of questions about Everton players as well. Are they worth investment ahead of their double in game week 24? To be honest, I'm not really sure. If I were to invest in Everton, it would probably be a defender. So Mikolenko, he is a decent option. He's really cheap as well, 4.3, so he could come in a defensive rotation, and at 4.3 he could easily be benched as well. 6% owned, 0.24 expected goal involvement, so I'm not sure that he will contribute with attacking returns at the moment, but Everton, they have a new coach. Sean Dyche is gone and Baines is in, so it will be interesting to see Everton going forward. Pickford as well, if you need a new goalkeeper, he is good for save points, and Everton, they have actually kept a decent amount of clean sheets, so Pickford is a decent option as well. If you need an attacking player from Everton, I'm not sure it's a good idea, but NDI, he took a penalty while Calvert-Lewin was not on the pitch. I think that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the penalty taker at Everton, but NDI is probably second in line. He's only selected by 0.5, so a really big differential. And he actually has pretty decent stats with 0.90 expected goal involvement. So to summarize, I would only invest in Everton if I had some spare free transfers. My first priority would be to bring in a defender, but if you want to take a punt on their attack, NDI is probably the best option. Mo Salah always in consideration for the captaincy in game week 22. He has a game against Brentford. The problem with this fixture is that Brentford is at home. They're actually pretty decent at home, as we can see on the stats. They have kept 2 clean sheets, only conceded 4 goals, 8 big chances, and 16 shots on target conceded. They have an expected goals conceded of 5.23, which is 8th best in the league. As mentioned, when we consider Brentford, they actually have a decent home record, and their stats are a bit better at home than away. So if this fixture were played at Anfield, I would probably be more confident in captaining Mo Salah, but let's take a look at a couple of other options as well. Cole Palmer, he got a goal in game week 21, should maybe have had an assist. Jackson was really wasteful in their fixture in game week 21, but in game week 22 they play against Wolves. They kept 2 clean sheets, conceded 5 goals, 10 big chances conceded and 14 shots on target. Wolves have an expected goals conceded of 5.62, which is 12th best in the league. So Wolves are really mid-table when it comes to their defensive stats, but I'm not really convinced by Chelsea at the moment. Had a really bad game week in game week 19 against Ipswich. Did not convince me against Bournemouth. They drew 2-2 against them, a Bournemouth team that really struggles with injuries at the moment. So I'm not really convinced by Chelsea and Cole Palmer at the moment, so I have to think more about my captain selection ahead of game week 22. So let's take a look at one last option. Alexander Isak and Newcastle, they have been in fine form for the last couple of months. In game week 22 they are playing against Bournemouth. As mentioned earlier, they have a lot of injuries at the moment. I think they probably were a bit lucky against Chelsea. Chelsea did really well in the first half, but Bournemouth, they came back and did really well in the second half. So I actually think that Chelsea, they should have won that game, and hopefully Newcastle can do better. So at the moment, Alexander Isak, he is actually my captain. Even though Bournemouth have decent defensive stats, I think that Newcastle have the strength to win against Bournemouth. Let me know in the comments down below who will be your captain for game week 22.